You're listening to CFRC 101.9 FM, broadcasting from Kingston, Ontario since 1922. Find and follow us on Instagram at CFRC Music. Coming up on this special community takeover of our airwaves, we're talking to Emily, Vice Chair of the Kingston Pride Board of Directors. Kingston Pride is a grassroots organization established in 1989 that works to promote awareness and inclusion of the 2S LGBTQIA community. Kingston Pride coordinates a wide range of activities, including an annual Pride Parade, social gatherings, dances, sporting events, educational workshops, speaker events, film showings, theatrical performances, art exhibitions, and more. June is Pride Month in Kingston. You're listening to CFRC 101.9 FM, and on today's special community takeover of our airwaves, I have Emily here from Kingston Pride. Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Emily, what is your role with Kingston Pride?
I am the vice chair for Kingston Pride this year, so I help run the community fair. But on top of that, the more meaningful work that I do is the accessibility side of things, so making sure that folks can access the entirety of Pride.
And Pride it's a busy time, Pride Month in June in Kingston. Do you want to talk a little bit about what Kingston Pride is and sort of what it contributes to the month of June in Kingston?
So Kingston Pride actually started in 1989 with an informal little walk down Princess Street, and we kind of view that as our first official Pride March. And a lot of the groundwork was done by informal networks like the Queen's Homophile Association and folks like that. And so modern day Kingston Pride reflects a lot of those values right back, which is a little different than other bigger prides perhaps. So we focus a lot on what the community needs and wants versus what the corporations would like us to do.
Right. Having been at Pride Parade in Toronto a couple years ago for my first time, there is a stark difference between what you see in Kingston, which is very community and family oriented, to what you see in Toronto, where it's shocking how much corporate presence there is there.
Exactly. Yeah, we try very hard. We don't accept banks into the parade or even to act as sponsors, and we don't have large companies either, so it's very different from most of the prides that are presented by a large bank.
Yeah, which I imagine also comes with challenges, but we can talk maybe about fundraising a little bit later. So you mentioned you're the vice chair, and you mentioned a little bit about what you do. I wonder if you could talk in general about what kinds of activities people might expect at Pride over the course of this month coming up.
Yeah. So we've been really trying hard to expand beyond the community fair and the parade. So we actually are hosting 3 different workshops this year, all at the library, which is super exciting. And we're inviting local artists and local performers to come teach their skills to queer folk. And we also are doing more community-centered events like our Get Together, Get Ready event that is hosted at the library, where people are going to be making posters. We're going to have the cricket running in the maker space so folks can get shirts and buttons, and we're even doing some letter writing campaigning there, so kind of like an all-in-one stop with a bunch of really cool people too.
There's a nice mix of family activities. There's also things that I think have quite the reputation, like the cruise and the hangover brunch.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cruise definitely has its own reputation, and this year we're actually expanding it, so we have 2 burlesque performers this year instead of 1. So I think it's gonna be lots of fun.
Nice. I wonder if you could talk about the theme of this year's Pride. Has there always been a theme? Like, I know there has been at least the last few years. But...
Yeah, it's been within the last few years that we've really started introducing a theme, and we try really hard to think about that theme in everything we do. So this year our theme is resilience and liberation in action. And so with that understanding, we have been using that framework to choose our performers, to choose our parade marshal, to choose who's even vending at the fair. And I think that's really something special, because I think it reflects the community a lot better than the corporate rainbow capitalism prides. But we really do use that as our framework.
Mm-hmm. You think of some of the slogans like love is love, and it's a lovely sentiment, but being queer and celebrating queerness goes a lot deeper than that, and it's nice when there's space to explore and talk about that.
Especially in today's political climate, I think for allies especially, I would love it if they stopped focusing so much on love is love and a little bit more on queer and trans people deserve to live, you know?
Yeah, getting back to the roots, the origin of Pride parades with, the first Pride is a riot and that kind of sentiment. And, not to get overly political on air, but I think there was, with certain governments that were in the US earlier, there was a sense of like, do we still need Pride? And I remember those conversations happening and there was that sense of ease. And then the political climate the last couple of years has really shown that we can't take rights for granted. So I think it's a great theme for this year. I wonder if we could talk a little bit about accessibility. Kingston's not always the easiest city to navigate, and why you felt that was important, and what kind of activities Kingston Pride is doing to kind of help accommodate and improve that.
As someone who is disabled themselves, I use mobility aids and I'm also neurodivergent. I found that in previous years a lot of Pride was not accessible to me. And the more I started talking to people around me, the more I was realizing I wasn't the only one. And so with that, even with like being a person of color, there was a void, a space that needed to be filled. And I just naturally kind of fell into it. When I first joined, we were a very small board. I think we only had 5 folks, and I was the only disabled one. And it actually started with one of our events that was being run, that I was running, that I found out I couldn't access. As the event organizer, I could not access that event. And that's when it really hit home for me. And so now I ensure that accessibility is at the forefront of what we do. It's not an afterthought, it's something that we're thinking of first and foremost.
I mean, it's an old city, and even along Princess Street, what people might take for granted, like most places have at least a step to get into them, or, you're up or down a flight of stairs, or there's no accessible washroom. It can absolutely be a challenge. So I think supporting spaces that are working towards being more accommodating is really important.
In our Pride Guide, I try to highlight all those accessible needs beyond just the ramp as well. Try to highlight like terrain needs and is there staircases? Are there people there that can help you? Is there loud music being amplified? Because I think too often we think of accessibility as a ramp.
Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And it's a little more than that.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that. And often things that accommodate or help make events more accessible help far more than the individuals that people might have in mind when they're working on those accommodations too.
Yeah, for sure. When we had our sensory-friendly community fair last month, I had folks telling me that this was the first Pride event that they could access in Kingston.
Right.
And I think that is the most that was the most meaningful thing to hear from a participant beyond just like, oh, Pride is fun, is that they were able to access it.
Right. The Pride Parade is a wonderful and vibrant event, but it is very crowded and very loud, so I can imagine how that would not be the best experience for some people. Do you want to talk about the community fair and the sensory fair?
I've been running it now, this is my 3rd year running it, and I run it as a vendor as well. And so with that, we have an artist alley where we have all our artists, where we ensure that each artist doesn't use AI, actually. We have a no AI clause and a no dropshipping clause. And I think that again goes back to the resilience and liberation piece, where we're trying to protect and uplift these voices. And then the other half of the community fair is our resources. We try really hard not to let big companies just use queer spaces, and we try to focus more on having queer folks centered.
For and by queer people.
By queer people, I think maybe we have 2 vendors that are not queer.
You mentioned it's a bigger board than you've had before. How many people are involved in this? Because it's quite a production.
So we have 9 board members, including myself, this year, and they all put in so much work, and it truly could not be done without everyone's individual piece that they are putting together. Because at the end of the day, that's how queer spaces get formed, right? It's through volunteering and through people putting in the time and effort so that we can have fun things like Kingston Pride, like drag shows. But I think that is the really important piece is showing up year-round, not just during Pride.
I think that's something that a lot of people who've never organized events or festivals or that kind of thing tend not to think about, is the amount of time it takes to get to the point where something's being mounted. So you mentioned volunteers. Are you currently recruiting volunteers?
Yes, we are. We are actively recruiting volunteers for all of our events, and for events such as the cruise, volunteers actually get a free ticket.
All right.
Yeah.
So, fun experience. If cost is an issue, this could be a good way to give back to the community and get a special experience. How do people sign up to volunteer, find out what opportunities are available?
So we have our links on our social medias, which is at Kingston Pride. And then on top of that, our website, which is just www.kingstonpride.ca. All of the information gets posted on those two places.
All right. And is the events calendar up now?
It is. We have our events lineup that came out last month, but June 1st is when our Pride Guide came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you've been waiting for the specifics and, trying to plan which tickets and what to add to your calendar, you can check it out now. It is live. I want to talk maybe about some of the subcommittees that Kingston Pride has. And I think this is also somewhat more new, but it seems like in the last couple of years, Kingston Pride as an organization has done a lot of work to take a deeper dive into who they are serving and how to do so.
Yeah, there's a big gap, especially before I joined the board. It tended to be a lot of white cis folks, and in reality that's just not what the population is like. And I think that by adding on more committees, we're able to get a better understanding of what the community is actually saying and needing. And another piece where we get that from is the surveys that we do every year, because we use those surveys for every programming decision. For who is allowed to march, who isn't allowed to march, we all use that information. Because at the end of the day, 9 people cannot represent hundreds of queers.
Mm-hmm. Have you announced the marshal yet? Is that still a surprise?
Yeah, we just announced our parade marshal is Josie Vellier, and they do so much work in the community. If you attended T-Door last year, they were the ones emceeing it. They host a monthly queer bowling night. They are instrumental in keeping TFAM afloat and running, who does so many events year-round. We thought that they exemplified our theme for this year of resilience and liberation in action, because they don't just talk about doing things, they do the things.
Mm-hmm. Well, congratulations to Josie. That'll be exciting. I guess on a broader sense, we sort of referred to this at the beginning, but why do you think that Pride matters now in 2026?
I think it matters because there are still people in the world that think that being queer or being trans or being different in any way makes them unworthy of love and affection and care. And Pride does this amazing job of creating a community, even just day of, there's all of a sudden this community all around, and you're realizing I'm not so alone. There are people like me. There are people that I can connect with. There are opportunities for me to succeed in life and be fulfilled and not have to hide who I am. One of the examples I think about a lot is when I vend at Napanee Pride or at any small pride, I get a lot of folks who don't necessarily purchase the items, but you can see the joy, the fact that they're meeting another queer person, perhaps for the first time, and they're seeing almost a future for themselves, hope is being created through Pride.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that at the same time, a lot of queer people, we do a lot of mutual aid and community work year round, and I think that can be a little tiring over time, just that continuous wave of the world kind of sucks and we're trying to do our best but we don't know how. And Pride kind of, at least for me, it gives me back some energy for the next year ahead, so that I can keep doing the work that I do.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way of showing the balance of it, because it is about awareness, it's about solidarity, it's about community, it's about understanding each other's pain, but it's also a celebration of who you are. Is there anything in particular at this year's Pride or in the lineup of events that you're excited about?
I think it would have to be the Get Ready event that I talked about previously, just because it's a perfect example of the whole community coming together, because the library is giving us the space. We have the maker space in the library that's open. We have artists coming in. We have Bewitched coming in to show makeup tips, and we even have Mooncat Body Art coming in to do little face painting tips and tricks. And I just feel like that type of community environment, it fuels me. It fuels me, and I'm just so excited to see people showing up and being able to get excited for Pride ahead of time.
And I think, too, reducing barriers, like the sense of, I can't be in the parade if I haven't gone to X company and purchased this item with a flag on it. You can create your own messages and repurpose clothing or items that you already have.
Yeah, we're going to have like a mood board there with the poster creating. So I have examples of like Marsha P. Johnson's original hand-sewn examples and like how it used to be, and kind of trying to bring that back into our Kingston Pride.
Oh, that sounds awesome. The makerspace sounds lovely, and a great way of sort of getting in that headspace and maybe meeting some people. You know, if you're thinking about walking in the parade and you don't know that you're going to have people there that you recognize.
Yeah, we have a lot of events actually that are really good to meet people. We have our trivia event that is happening the week before on June 6th, where people can either come in groups or just meet new folks. That's what I tend to do. We also have our 2 board game nights, where again lots of people meet friends that way, and I think it's a really low-key, relaxing way to kind of talk and meet people, and you have an activity to do, which helps a little bit.
Yeah, prevent those awkward pauses or scrambling for conversation. All right, so board games and community fair and parades and anything else that you want to highlight?
We have 2 events with the Kingston Native Center and Language Nest. One of them we're a community sponsor of is the Two-Spirit celebration that is happening at City Park. And the second one is we have a nature walk with an Indigenous elder that is going to happen at City Park as well. And I think that with Indigenous History Month, I think that it is important to not only uplift queer folks, but the intersection, their whole identity.
Mm-hmm. I think the fact that you're offering different activities that kind of let people tap into their whole selves is a really, really lovely thing. Yeah. Do you take donations?
We do take donations. We take both individual donations and company donations, but we also have a lot of raffles happening, which also helps Kingston Pride. We have a bunch of raffles happening at our boat cruise, actually. So that is happening June 13th, right after the community fair and parade. So it is going to be a busy, hectic day.
Yeah. Just keep the party and the celebration going. All right, so raffles, probably some cool prizes in there. Can people contribute on your website?
Not on the website yet, but people can at our booth at Kingston Pride on the day of.
Okay. How many volunteers do you think are involved each year?
I would say a minimum of 50.
Okay.
50 volunteers, and they all play such different roles, you know? And it's not even how much you volunteer, it's the little pieces, you know? Even if you volunteer an hour here and there, it builds up, it adds up.
I'm a huge proponent of volunteering. If you're introverted, sometimes it can be a good way of getting yourself out there a little bit, but there's often opportunities depending on your level of confidence or extroversion or introversion. Like there's usually different roles that you can play. Is there anything else that you want to say? Any encouragement for someone who's like, oh, I don't know, maybe I'm too shy to go to Pride?
I think the biggest thing is just showing up authentically as yourself, and only by doing that do you make those connections that you seek, and oftentimes that's not going to look like what you see on the internet or on the TV, and that's perfectly okay because we're all queer.
Yeah.
That's the point.
It has been a lovely experience having been in the parade and participated as well to, you know, see your flag represented and see like the variety of different people when you're like, I was expecting to see maybe one person, and then you just see different ages and different group. We're about to wrap up, but Emily, before we go, I wonder if you could just do a quick recap of your website and your social media so folks know where to go today and check out the events lineup.
Yeah, so all of our socials are at kingston.pride and on our website at www.kingstonpride.ca.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I wish you well in I was going to say in the pre-planning phase. I mean, it's June. We're here. I hope you have a fantastic month, and I look forward to seeing you at some of the events.
Thank you.
Sign up now to take over CFRC's airwaves yourself. CFRC 101.9 FM invites all Queen's University student groups and Kingston community organizations to take over our airwaves. Join us on air for an hour to talk about your student group or community organization, and also present your own playlist of fun music chosen by your team. This is a great opportunity to talk about what your group does, how others can get involved or provide support, any big events your group has coming up, and how to keep up with the latest news about your group. Apply by visiting cfrc.ca/contact and selecting Apply for a Club Community Takeover. This project is made possible through the generous support of the Community Radio Fund of Canada's Radiometres program.